I recently told you my top Disney Plus original films, so today I'm going to continue onward and rank my favorite Disney Plus original shows. Stick with me and I'll give you my thoughts after the intro. Well, hello there. My name's Jeremy and welcome back to Freeform Disney, where I talk about all aspects of Disney, from the animated movies to the theme parks to Star Wars, Marvel, and Pixar, and the TV shows, and everything else in between. And that is why it's Freeform. And keep coming back every day for new daily content. If you're not subscribed yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Well, hello there. I'm Jeremy, and today, we are a little ways into year 2 now of Disney Plus. About a month in almost, because the anniversary was back on November 12th of last month. And I really don't see how there is nothing to keep watching on Disney Plus. I know it's said, but I don't see it. I have seen 14 of the shows that came out, and heck, there are a lot more than that I really want to see, and even more that I don't want to too, but man, I've just not found the time for all of that yet. Hey, if you're curious about some of that, you go ahead and let me know down below in the comments. I can go make another video where I talk about all the ones I haven't seen. Meanwhile, I'm going to talk about the ones that I actually did see and go ahead and rank them for you. Now, these are the ones that at least started between November 12th of 2019 up through November 11th of 2020. Definitely, there's at least an ongoing show or two in that little piece right there, but you get the idea of where I'm going anyway. Now, before I start into it, let me just say that unlike the original films, nothing on this list is bad. All 14 of these, I would gladly have more episodes from come for a season 2 or a season 3 as case may be. Oh, definitely. So if it's possible, I'd love to see more of every one of these. Well, anyway, let's just drop right on into it. Start at my number 14, and that is Muppets Now. Yeah, you can see, not quite honorary spot of being the bottom of my list, but in fairness, again, I did like the show. I would like to see a season 2, and I imagine getting another season will start to iron out a little more of the problems that I had with season 1, which could be incredibly uneven. Certainly the show is also heavily dependent on who the guests are, and that could sometimes bring the show down a fair bit. So yeah, no, there's a lot of potential within Muppets Now, and it certainly had its good moments in there where I definitely was laughing out loud, literally. But there were also moments, oh man, I was groaning, and not a good type of groaning. So it was by far the most uneven show, and so it definitely fits here as my number 14. And I would really like to see a season 2 and see them go ahead and work on ironing those kinks out. Number 13 is Pixar in Real Life. Pixar in Real Life, I definitely enjoyed these. Now, there were some that were definitely weaker than others, but even the weak ones were still enjoyable here. And I would really love to see a season 2, get some more going. And also, what the heck ever happened to the Monsters, Inc. and retrieving the socks? It was in the trailer and I never saw it. Does that bode toward a season 2 then maybe? Hopefully. We had 11 episodes here this first season that stretched across the whole year. Hoping we get a season 2. Obviously with the pandemic, filming anything new would probably be pretty tricky. And hey, as well as Pixar in Real Life, why not Disney in Real Life? Do the animated ones, or go ahead and do, say, a Star Wars in real life or a Marvel in real life. There's so much else we can do in this same field. I would love to see some more on this series. But yeah, the reason it's down at 13 is because there were some that were a little weaker. Also, to be honest, the shortness of it can make it tricky to get too high up for me. So yeah, oh well. Moving right along, number 12, we move on to our first docuseries. And this is The World According to Jeff Goldblum. Now, I have not actually quite watched every one of these yet. 3/4 of the way through, I've got 3 episodes left out of the original 12. So, most of the way there. Now, unlike the other 2, we have not heard anything about a season 2 for Pixar in Real Life or Muppets Now yet. World According to Jeff Goldblum, though, we already know there will be a season 2. And I'm definitely happy for that. All these early ones are going to have a little more unevenness. It's part of why they tend to be lower on the list. And that's true here, too. To some degree, the show's been finding out what it is and why it exists. Frankly, the best part of this show is Jeff Goldblum being Jeff Goldblum. And Jeff Goldblum has this way about being amazed by most of the things that he runs across, regardless of what it is. Heck, he's had his best day ever numerous times in this show. Just has this wide-eyed wonder and a fun, quirky personality. Gotta love Jeff Goldblum, and that's the real highlight of this show. It's not that it's some great educational thing in terms of, hey, here's the educational history of genes or whatever else that way. That's not what this show is. Now, don't get me wrong, you'll learn a little bit in those, and that's a good thing, that's not bad at all. But the real focus and feature is Jeff Goldblum being Jeff Goldblum and interacting with all of these things. Anyway, so glad to see that it's renewed and we'll be getting a season 2, and hey, I'm looking forward to seeing those last few as I keep working through the rest of the season. Number 11, Forky asks a question. Oh man, definitely enjoyed this one. Heck, you've seen me put out a couple videos on this one. I guess I gave you all my extended thoughts on it too. And we only had 10 episodes in here, so not that much, especially when these are short little 3 to 4 minute episodes. They're so short, but definitely a ton of fun. And we have not heard about a season 2 yet, but I'm really hoping for a season 2 to come out. Now, similarly, this does have that same kind of rockiness I was talking about on the other ones. There were some really exceptionally good ones amongst Forky Asks Question. And there were some that were a little weaker, and definitely the other third that were right around the middle for this. But oh, yeah, I have no doubt that this would probably get overall an increase in quality. You get a season 2, just because this is how most things work with shows. At least in the early seasons, you tend to get stronger because you figure out what works, you figure out what your show really is, and you get used to working with the people you're working with there in that set. We're not talking about what might happen if a show goes on, say, 10, 11, 13, 15, 20, 31, 32 seasons. And then there's a completely different issue as to what happens as far as shows getting better or worse. Well, anyway, definitely hoping for more. Oh, so funny and good as a show. At first, I thought this was going to be some kind of educational kind of thing with Forky, and it is anything but. It is a comedy show, most certainly, and it's fun. Number 10 for the shows is Zenimation. Yes, it gets listed up as a show because they put these out as 11 separate pieces, so I imagine that's why. And these are all relatively short. Zenimation, they essentially take out all the talking, the music, just the ambient noises you would hear. So it ends up being very much an ASMR kind of thing. And oh man, it is too great. I love hearing it. It's so different as a perspective. And this kind of thing is cool and regardless of what it's being done in. So yeah, definitely neat. If you're ever in there just to go get a little zen in your life, go watch some Zenimation in there. Just pick one of the mini episodes, whatever fits your fancy that day. I'd love to see another season on this too. There's so many movies in the catalog that could be used for Zenimation, so lots of space to continue to explore this idea. Oh, and I should note, no weakness really here in Zenimation. I didn't really, there's no rockiness of, hey, this was much worse or this was way better. Certainly I have ones that I liked better, but it's not that, oh my word, oof, that one was really bad. No, it's certainly none of that in Zenimation right there. Well, anyway, let's move on. Number 9, the next docuseries on the list. This is One Day at Disney. Now, wow, we have had so many episodes of this because they've been putting it out week after week after week after week for the whole year. We've had, 51 episodes? Whoa! Oh, it's impressive right there. Now, One Day at Disney is this really quick look at some of the different people that work there, and these are like 5-minute episodes. They're so short. Now, that actually is why this does not rank higher. If these were, heck, even if these were 10-minute, let alone 15-minute pieces with each of these people, then this probably would have bumped up a few spots on this list. But it's just so short, and we barely get a taste for really getting to interact with some of these people. And don't get me wrong, I love even getting that much. Even that much is great. That's why it's up here at number 9. But if we got to dive a little bit deeper, it would definitely be higher than number 9 for me. Now that said, definitely hoping for a season 2, even if it's still just this 5-minute length. Heck, we only saw, 50 people? Do you know how many people work for Disney? There are tons of people we could still talk to. So the limits for this show, man, the limits are your own imagination right here. Although, hey, if we can get a season 2 that's, say, 10 minutes in an episode, I would gladly take that too. Okay, number 8 is an interesting one. This gets counted as a series or original programming, I guess I should say. And these are the SparkShorts. Now, I find it odd to count this kind of that way, but it is counted as a season this way. So we're currently in season 2 and it's ongoing. And these are all these Pixar shorts. Now, they're ones that are not actually before actual Pixar movies, but the same kind of idea right there. And sometimes these are even more experimental in terms of the subjects they'll touch. We've actually dealt with autism nicely in here. As I said, no, there's all kinds of really good stuff within these. I highly recommend checking them out. Yeah, check out the SparkShorts. Jump into them. Yeah, definitely some are better than others, and otherwise, heck, even this could go up higher if that weren't the case. But, there's some good stuff in there. Up number 7 is Magic of Disney's Animal Kingdom, which, I watched all of those. I've got videos up on every one of those because we were watching them as they actually went up each week. And, now it started out actually where after that first episode, I really wasn't sure. There were just some weaknesses in there for me, but the show definitely won me over. And the surprise of it is that it's not just all the animals, it was also all the cast members working there that ended up really being so valuable in this show. And I loved getting to see behind the scenes there. So yeah, this was a ton of fun. What's up next? Well, we are on a docuseries kick right now because it's going to be docuseries again. We are on to Into the Unknown, Making Frozen 2. Now, this was a 6-episode look behind the scenes at Making Frozen 2. The episodes lasted anywhere between like around a half hour to 40 minutes each. I think they got shorter with each episode as it went up all the way up till the finale. And these were pretty good. We got to see a good bit of what went on behind the scenes. Although, my biggest frustration, they cut out some of the real meat of some of the tough decisions they had to make. They just cut us out of the conversation and didn't really even give us an idea sometimes. That was so frustrating. Oh, and this, by the way, here's one where we won't get a season 2 because this is a one-off. The movie's made, it's done. But I'm hoping for more docuseries like this where we at least take this level of depth and look at some of the movies being made. After all, we've already heard of a docuseries for Soul that will be coming out. Hopefully it's in a similar style to this. Definitely hoping for that, and also for, say, Raya and the Last Dragon coming out. Definitely my hopes, because I loved watching this. That's why I made number 6. But hey, now we are into the top 5. So number 5 here is, well, actually the last docuseries on the list. And this is Disney Gallery, The Mandalorian. Yes, this is my favorite of all the docuseries we've seen. And there's been a few. The World According to Jeff Goldblum, One Day at Disney, Magic of Disney's Animal Kingdom, Into the Unknown Making Frozen 2, and Disney Gallery The Mandalorian. And yes, there are a few that I haven't seen too. Now, Disney Gallery The Mandalorian, oh man, loved this one. This was my favorite in the style of how they went about it. It really was worked into this because we had these round tables that brought in a bunch of our different people, and plus other interviews too that were done during the course of making The Mandalorian. So yeah, it was really nice, and the way they did this was each episode focused on a different overarching theme, whether that was the directing or the acting for a couple of them, or the technology or the practical effects, or we dived deep in one of them and just went into the music. It wasn't even the usual topic. We were mainly just looking at Ludwig and how he made all the music for the show. And that was a nice deep dive right there too. Love that. So I am really, really looking forward to a Disney Gallery The Mandalorian Season 2, based on Season 2 of The Mandalorian. Hoping that comes up next year. Now, we haven't gotten any official word, but I really hope so. And I'd love to see some more docuseries that are done in this style too, because this was so well done. Number 4, going to be my favorite comedic piece on this, and this is Earth to Ned. Now, you'll notice Muppets Now is way down at 14. Earth to Ned way up here at number 4. Loved this. Intriguingly, this actually was a Jim Henson studio, being that it's actually Disney that does Muppets Now. But they created this completely new alien called Ned, as well as his sidekick Cornelius, and we had our AI computer as well. And it was this talk show, like this late night talk show kind of idea. But at the same time, it was also satire directed at that whole genre of show making. So yeah, it just fired on all cylinders, so there was never a bad episode of Earth to Ned. These were good episodes all throughout, plenty of humor, loved this, definitely hoping for a season 2. Oh yeah, I'll be there with bells on if there's another season. Number 3, that is The Right Stuff. Now, The Right Stuff only made it about halfway before we officially made it into year 2 of Disney+, but it certainly started in year 1. Although, in fairness, if I were having to rank The Right Stuff based on year 1 and not the final 4 episodes that actually occurred in year 2, it wouldn't be at number 3. It would be a little bit further down that list, I gotta be honest right there. It was only in episode 4 that the show really started to click and got really good. Those first few episodes were a lot weaker and, for me at least, a bit more painful. But it eventually really started getting good and the show started really humming along all the way through to that 8th episode, which was definitely the best of the bunch. And this is about the Mercury 7 astronauts, by the way. So this was all the way up until our first major launch of an actual astronaut, when we launched Alan Shepard up into space right there. Now, really hoping for season 2. As to whether it's been renewed, there's a lot of rumor floating around. It looks pretty good for a renewal, but we have not gotten an official word on a renewal yet. But there's so much to go here still, because the people behind the show making it have talked about how they want to bring it all the way up to the moon landing. And frankly, I'm hoping that we do more than just the first moon landing. I hope we go through the rest of the Apollo program while we're at it too, because man, there's a lot of Apollo missions to be able to talk about. So just ending on the first Apollo mission that actually landed on the moon, I mean, then we're going to miss out on all the Apollo missions after that, and there's a good few of them right there. Heck, even bringing Alan Shepard back up there while we're at it, right? Or John Glenn back into space. Some other pieces to bring back in. It would be fun to bring them back in once they're how much older by that point. Well, anyway, Right Stuff, definitely hoping for the renewal, and I think it's a good shot. So hopefully we keep up that quality we had in the back half of the show. Okay, now here's where it gets tricky. Number 2 and number 1, well, this also might give away a bit of my own predilections on some of the stuff I love. So, Star Wars for number 2. Now this is season 7 of Star Wars: The Clone Wars. So certainly not the whole show, but this came out earlier in the year, and this could have had a shot at number 1 if it weren't for a few other things going on. Frankly, if it was just those final 4 episodes, the final arc of the Clone Wars, then yeah, it probably would have had the number 1 spot right there because it was that good. But this is season 7 as a whole, and well, the other 2 arcs were certainly not at the caliber of the final. The first arc was pretty good, I liked it. The second arc, definitely a little weaker. And the third arc, I mean, knocks your socks off. Man, if you have taken the whole journey of Clone Wars and you hit that last one, that is fully right up there, movie quality. It is an amazing final arc. No spoilers here, so if you haven't seen it, you're fine. But yeah, number 2, no doubt. Now, technically this is the final season. You never know, maybe we'll find an excuse to release a different season of Clone Wars called a new Lost Files or something, I don't know. It's always possible, but probably we won't get anything more here. And number 1, I mean, if you haven't guessed it at this point, it's probably pretty obvious for the one thing that I have not talked about. Now, yes, there's a few things I haven't talked about, but kind of a big gaping hole here. It probably makes number 1 for most people's list, The Mandalorian. And here in this case, well, we've got season 1 and season 2. Although, frankly, I haven't even seen all of season 2 yet, but it did start up before November 12th this year. And even if I were just counting the ones that popped up before November 12th, yeah, I mean, no doubt. Number 1 easily. This show presents so much potential for Star Wars and where we're going. And season 2 just essentially took that potential from season 1 and has expanded on it and doubled down on it so heavily. There's just so good. I don't think I need to tell you what it is or anything else like that. I think you know what The Mandalorian probably is. If not, you've been really disconnected from the news lately. And season 2, yeah, so good. And heck, we've already know that it's renewed for season 3, that they're going to be shooting it. Heck, there's already been talk about 4 seasons at least of the show, let alone potential spin-offs left and right of The Mandalorian. So the future is really bright right here. Now that said, if I was having to compare just the final arc of Clone Wars versus Mandalorian, I might have to go a different direction here. Although with some of what we've done recently in season 2, oh man. Especially, say, episodes 3 and 5 here of this season. Oh, that would be really tricky for me to have to go the other direction. Because, yeah, those 2 episodes especially. Oof. Well, anyway, yeah. Mandalorian, easily the top of my list. Also one that I have no questions on whether there are more seasons or heck, whether there are spin-offs coming. The future is bright right here. And, well, that is the 14 that I have actually seen. And yeah, Star Wars kind of dominated the list when you look at it. Numbers 1, numbers 2, numbers 5. And heck, The Right Stuff probably would have been a little lower if I'd only counted the first 4 episodes. So it might have been 1, 2, and 4. But even when you look at that, space. Actually, even Earth to Net is space-based, or at least it's the idea of an alien. Oh, yeah. I'm not a sci-fi fan at all, am I? Or science history, I suppose, in Right Stuff. Although it's not really history, it's a dramatized version of it that doesn't quite follow true, but mostly does. It's a tricky one, but you get the point. I guess my bias might be showing there too, but hey, they were also good. These were good shows. And frankly, I'm impressed by how, out of all 14 of these, every one of these I would like to see more. There is no show that I've started on Disney Plus that I would not like to see more of. Now that said, there are more that I haven't seen. Heck, there's 20 shows that I haven't seen. So you never know, maybe there's a bad one in there, or maybe there's another one that I would have found great and would have cracked the top 10 on this list if I had gotten a chance to see it. Maybe that's something like Disney Insider or the Imagineering story, which I'd love to go ahead and see, and I don't know how the heck I haven't seen it yet. Well, anyway, if you want to hear more about all that, that's a different video, so let me know. And before I go further down that road, well, let me go ahead and ask, well, what about you? What are your favorite Disney Plus original shows or programming, whatever word you want to use there? And do you want to hear me go through the ones I haven't seen? Go ahead and let me know down below in the comments. And as always, thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please help me out, give it a like, a share, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you back here tomorrow for another new episode of Freeform Disney. Have a magical day, everyone, and may the Force be with you always.